What up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much for the sub on Twitch. Thank you, everybody, for the support. We're at 25,000 subs. Going to be recording that Q&A soon, but appreciate your support and your continued viewing of the stream. As always, thank you, everybody. Guys, we have some, it's not going to be a super duper long stream. Just some kind of breaking news that you gotta give it to the Senate Democrats, man. You really do have to give it to them. We'll get into it in a little bit, but while you're here, smash the like button. I don't know how to do those kind of line reads, you know? Like, smash the like button, follow and subscribe if you haven't. More to come this week. Um, where to begin? Also, yeah, that song is Formentera by Robert Svard. It's like flamenco music, flamenco from Spain. All right, you got to hand it to the Senate Democrats. So let me just give you a recap on the situation, right? So currently, we're at a key point where the Democrats, who don't control either branch of Congress, the presidency, or the courts, right? Because they don't have a majority or even close to that on the Supreme Court, they don't have many opportunities in the federal government for leverage or for the ability to influence what the government is doing, especially because we're in an era of like pretty sharp divisions, both in terms of the country, but also with respect to partisanship in the political parties. So, not a lot of like centrist Republicans who are willing to bunk the administration, and certainly you have a continually oppositional and unhinged presidency who's not really looking to extend a hand across the aisle. So the opportunities for federal level Democrats to make gains is muted by the fact that their opposition is unhinged and uniformed against them in total with respect to the federal government. But the one area in which they have a potential for leverage is in budget negotiations, because as of now, we don't have a breaking of the filibuster in the Senate, which essentially means for a lot of the bills that Congress would typically want to pass, including like their overall budget bills, they need 60 votes in the Senate. Now, technically, the majority of the Republican Senate could get rid of the filibuster, but for reasons we've spoken about, they're not like inclined to do that because this is my opinion now, my editorializing. What they say is like they're fearful of the Democrats using the breaking of the filibuster when and if the Democrats retake power. That's like their official message. My position is that the Republicans like don't have a ton of big agenda items they want or are able to pass with the filibuster. And to the extent that there are, it's like major cuts on popular stuff that they want to like sneak into broader packages anyway, that they can pass with budget reconciliation and as they did with the big beautiful bill. And so it more has to do with it's not useful for the individual Republican senators to like increase the amount of leverage that the president on some of these measures are able to push and to be targeted potentially for like primaries and stuff if they're seen as, well, we'll get into, right? Kind of similar dynamic for the Democrats. If they're seen as like the one senator that's preventing mass deportation or whatever, right? Or they're the one senator that's preventing national abortion ban, where it's more easy to be like, oh, it's the 60 vote threshold. We'd never have the votes. And so there's reasons why the Senate Republicans want to keep the filibuster. But they technically do have it within their power to open the government anytime they want. They just have another priority, which is maintaining the filibuster so they don't, in my opinion, get personally pressured. So that's the one point of leverage where the Democrats have. And they've had it one other time so far in Trump term one, which is when the government was running out of money to fund itself in March. Now, there was some cuckoldry that occurred in March, which was an area of big back and forth among Democratic insiders and certainly among the pundit class. That happened in March. And they passed a short-term funding CR, continuing resolution, that kept the government funded about until 40 or so days ago, right? And the standard has been, if you want Democratic votes, you should negotiate with Democrats. And Republicans have been unwilling to do that, really, in any significant way. The Democrats' like dividing stance has been that we need to have some sort of reckoning of the fact that the ACA premiums that were like upgraded recently are going to run out and will cause a massive increase in the price that many people are paying for health insurance. And so that's been like their mantra. they could have picked a bunch of different issues, right, to use their leverage for. But what's been salient for a lot of people, and as we saw in the recent election, is like affordability. So now I think that was one of two really useful lines that the Democrats should have had for negotiation. Either the subsidies with respect to healthcare prices, or the massive tax increases of the tariffs, and to shut those down. That those were two areas where they relate to cost of living. One is like a massive tax increase, and one is a massive cut for the subsidies. And Democrats convinced their base, Democratic leadership, pushed to have this fight now and to have the fight on healthcare, which I think is a totally fine decision. Not to push off the March fight. You can still have the March fight. I think you should have had the March fight. But to choose healthcare as a line, I think is worthy of the American people. It's something that, a lot of Americans continue to struggle with. Health insurance situation in the United States is still far, 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 far from perfect. It's something that Democrats have been talking for a while, both centrist Democrats and like Bernieites. Doing something more about healthcare and continuing to help people with healthcare has been a unifying force for the left, even though there's disagreements ideologically and policy-wise on like where that should be. That has been the Democrats like one of their strongest issues and like a unifying issue for a lot of people in the coalition. So they chose this fight, the Democrat leadership that is, and they got everyone, all of their base and everyone talking about healthcare, and that's good. But they also had us saying what their line was, right? Which is, if you want to have a deal, you got to do something, actually fund these credits, to prevent the massive premium spikes that even Republicans are now like looking at and they're like, what the fuck? This is going to be pretty bad. And we have endured now the longest government shutdown in the history of the country. The second longest happened under Trump term 1. And here's additional facts that is needed context. One, public polling shows consistently double-digit blame on Republicans over Democrats. The Republicans are being blamed for this. Why? Because they deserve blame. If you want to avoid a shutdown, you have to negotiate with the other side, unless you're willing to get rid of the filibuster. But you have unified control of federal government. And so, of course, it's logical for the majority of the American people, thank you so much for being a member, to blame Republicans. Makes all the sense in the world. Unless you take the position, which would never be reciprocated, that okay, you don't need to negotiate with the other party. They should just vote for your bill all the time. No, you have to negotiate. And a line has been, listen, we need to have something on these healthcare premiums and on these ACA subsidies. Now, the response from the Republicans has been absolutely not. We're not conditioning the opening of the government on any kind of thing that you want. We can maybe think about dealing with the ACA credits or subsidies after you sign the bill. But of course, and I'll ask the chat, why does that sound suspect to you? You as a chat, as a layperson chat, perhaps. Maybe you're more sort of in touch with politics and this kind of punditry or whatever, but just take it from a normal perspective. Why does it seem odd that they're like, maybe we'll address it later? What does that make you suspect? Yeah, trust us, bro. The minute you sign the CR, we're back to the status quo, which is the Democrats can't actually accomplish or push the government to do anything, or the respective chambers of Congress. Yeah. And think about who we're dealing with here. How many times in the past 2 years, on budget fights exactly, have Republicans gone against their word? Kevin McCarthy, Mike Johnson, both of them. After we have like inked a deal, an informal deal between the parties to do something, have we had maybe like 3 or 4 crises where the Republicans on budget negotiations, just specifically on that, have not kept to their word? Like, putting aside everything else they fucking lie about. Put all of that aside, right? Put the lies about everything else completely out of your mind. Just on budget negotiations in the last like 4 years, how often have the Republicans like undermined a previous deal or their word to the Democrats? I hazard a guess it's been every single time that we've had a budget showdown in the past 3-4 years. So one of the reasons why Democrats up until now apparently have been like, yeah, we're not just like gonna sign it and then have this kind of nebulous promise that you'll deal with it eventually. It's like talking to some person who is constantly like getting the ball as you're trying to kick it. Who's that person again? Remind me? Yeah, it's like you're fucking Charlie Brown. It's like, don't worry, this time I really am for sure gonna let you kick the football. Lucy, right? This time I'm honest and we'll actually do something. To their credit, actually, some of the Republican leadership aren't even promising anything. Mike Johnson is literally like, yeah, we're not gonna actually vote for it in the House. So here's what has been agreed to, the Senate deal. We'll read from Politico. The broad framework for agreement, which was negotiated in parts by Senator Angus King, Senator Shaheen, and Maggie Hassan, as well as GOP senators, has more than enough to pass. The deal, what the fuck is this? I don't know. Where's the... This is what Thune is promising. Thune is promising the Senate Democrats a vote in mid-December to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies. That's like the big part of the thing that the Republicans are getting. Is Senator Thune, who is the majority leader in the Senate, is saying, okay, we'll make this commission, we'll do some more negotiations, we'll do this and that, we'll make sure people are being paid, et cetera, et cetera. But on the credits, I promise you a vote in December. So first of all, the response from Aftershark, yeah, wow, a fucking vote. Who gives a shit about a vote? Right? And not just a vote. How many chambers of Congress are there? There's the Senate. I forgot what that other chamber was called. Oh yeah, the House of Representatives. Guess what? Guess what the Constitution says? In order to have a thing pass through Congress, it needs to get through both. The identical piece of legislation needs to be passed by both chambers. So who the fuck cares about a vote at all? Because that doesn't guarantee the thing. Why would we just like, if they're not going to support it to get it past the finishing line, why would a vote be sufficient? And then number two is like, well, hang on, a vote where? Oh, a vote just in the Senate with no promise of Republican votes for that proposal. And oh wait, there's another fucking chamber of Congress where Mike Johnson has previously said there will be no vote. Oh wait, even if Congress did fucking agree to do this, both chambers, and they did agree to give it a majority, it needs to go through fucking Trump. Because Trump's the president. So why in the blue hell are you going to trust any promise from Republicans in Congress. B, that promise will extend to actually supporting the measure in a single chamber, let alone both chambers, and have the sign off from Mike Johnson and Donald Trump. They just defunded Medicaid by hundreds of billions of dollars to give their oligarch and rich friends huge tax credits. Does it seem like they're really concerned about healthcare costs and health insurance? They want and have previously expressed wanting to get rid of the Affordable Care Act in every respect. That's one of Trump's campaign promises. He's talking about it this week. Does that sound like people who are going to be open to actually helping to improve the situation? And listen, I can't speak for the rank and file individual, but all I can say is what like of Twitter people, right, and online people, and I haven't seen anybody defend this. I want to say the Cuck Schumer position. I'll tell you a little bit about how Schumer is trying to craft it as though he's not responsible, and I'll tell you why he's responsible regardless of how you slice it. But I haven't seen anyone of prominence be like, no, guys, other than the people who are now planning to vote in favor of this deal, quote unquote deal. I haven't seen anybody. Like, this is unanimous among Midas Touch, among Hassan Piker, who liked one of my tweets, among fucking far crazy lefties, among centrist Dems, among resistance libs. Everyone is pissed at this fucking deal. Because the added insult to injury is the Democrats just fucking destroyed the Republicans in the elections. Partly because of these issues, including the government shutdown. The Democrats, there was a pure referendum available for voters to be able to blame Democrats for issues that they're facing. And trust me, like, a shutdown is absolutely affecting all of us. Or most of us. Even if all you do is just wanting to travel for the holidays, it will affect you. And obviously, if you're employed, if you rely in any respect on government services, things are slowing down. So this is not like an easy thing. But the whole point of taking a stand was that there needed to be something. Or like, you're not going to vote for a bill if keeping the government open meant like cutting services by 90% or something, right? Like, imagine that. Would you be like, oh, well, we have to do it because otherwise we'll have a closed government? No. There are some lines, and the Democrats picked a line, and all of their supporters went out and argued for them and supported them and said that it made sense and expected for them to follow through on their word, which was, we will have a deal if they're willing to negotiate us and actually protect the American people on this like 80-20 issue. And their word that they weren't going to believe the hollow promises of Republicans and Trump. Trump, who's not even like in the room, in the negotiating room. It's just Thune. Thune, who can't guarantee Mike Johnson. The Senate Republicans and House Republicans aren't like always in sync. Do you guys like remember all of the fucking civil war within the chambers? So we just had massive wins in the midterms where voters had an opportunity to blame Democrats for the shutdown, which they don't, because they justifiably blame the Republicans. And now we have them by the balls. And why? Why do you want to give this guy a win? Why do you want to give him a win and abandon the principle that led you here in the first place? Yeah, we can watch the AP YouTube. Yeah, I'll put it up. Just a couple things, though. So why am I against this? I kind of retweeted. First of all, glad to see Janet Mills. You know, at least coming against it. I don't like it because it relies on trusting the Republicans and Trump, and on some promise that they don't have to keep. There's no forcing them to keep this promise, and where the odds of it coming through on nothing more than like the whisper of a promise are low as fuck. That gets into like number 4. It lowers the chance because you don't actually have any leverage to push anything. And it requires Trump's buy-in and Mike Johnson's buy-in. 2, it's a provable back down. What do I mean by that? It's like one thing in negotiation that they teach you not to do is to say something is your bottom line and not mean it, right? If you say, listen, I can't go any below this. This is really my bottom line. If you say bottom line, you need to mean it. You really need to mean it when you say bottom line. Because once you say bottom line, and then you're like, okay, I'm able to get a little lower, all of your credibility goes away. And so there's no teeth to what the Democrats say if they keep doing these back downs. Now, some might say, well, your bottom line can change if material circumstances change. Well, material circumstances did change in this interim, but they changed to the Democrats' benefit. That is, Democrats got more political support. And they had massive wins. And Trump himself is like, we are getting blamed for the shutdown. Trump is saying at least 6, 7, 8 times, hey, get rid of the filibuster. We're getting blamed for the shutdown. So you have your opponent accepting defeat, accepting blame, saying, Republicans, it's your fault. That's what Trump is saying. And in that position, when Trump is saying, hey, we need to do something because this is hurting us, these Dems are like, might as well give him a break because Thune promised to vote in the Senate for no, like, what? What the fuck? So let me paint you a picture right now. Who's against this? All the base people, Newsom, Pritzker, all the base Congress people. Hakeem Jeffries, to his credit's against it. So who are you going to put your hat in with? Fucking Schumer? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. The alleged Dems who are breaking, who are not Schumer. So let's talk about Schumer for a second. Don't fall for these games. Don't fall for these games. If Schumer personally votes no, that does not alleviate his responsibility. Why not? Number one, it's failure of leadership to keep his caucus in line. We're celebrating like Pelosi recently, who is going to be retiring. Say what you want to say about her, but she was able to maintain her caucus. And Schumer can't. He can't. There's a failure of leadership. I'm not the only one saying it. Insiders are saying it too. 2, I don't have a fucking, I'm not so sure that he isn't arranging it so he can vote no, so alleviate some of the pressure that he faced in March. How do I know that's not the fucking case? He backed down before and took ownership before. Why would that be different now? So you have a past course of conduct, which means I don't trust him. So 1 is the inherent responsibility of the leader. 2 is I don't trust them based on previous cucking out. And beyond that, his conduct doesn't really show that he is against it, other than the vote no. If he votes no. Because why isn't he coming out and saying voting yes is horrible? Senate Democrats should vote no. He hasn't done that. What has he done? He said, I'm not going to whip anybody. Democrats are free to vote however they want. That's Schumer. That's reported on Schumer, that Schumer is personally going to vote no, but he's not going to try to whip Democratic votes. that he's saying Democrats can vote their conscience, vote freely. That tells you all you need to know. That tells you all you need to fucking know. If he were truly against it and meant it, he wouldn't do something like that. So yeah, Schumer bears responsibility. He bears responsibility because the buck stops with him. He's the leader. This isn't the first fucking time that we've had this issue. It's how many more times do we need to do this? How many more instances of weakness, thank you so much for the sub, do we need to have before we realize that the leadership sucks? Hey, the leadership is horrible, especially in the Senate. Maybe the approval rating of Schumer being in the fucking dirt is relevant. Maybe he's doing a bad job, like I've been saying. So let me see if I can find this, like AP, whatever. AP. So you guys, what's going on? Let's look at all the cucks. Yeah, we'll look at the cucks. One sec. And Trump's going to bandy it about as a victory. As he should. It's a win. It would be a win for him. You get something for nothing. There we go. Here we have a look at the Senate. That's Ted Cruz. Lion Ted. Elizabeth Warren and her North Face or whatever that is. Would you debate me on this? I mean, yeah, join the fucking Discord if you want.
Ms. Alsterbrooks, no. Ms. Warren, no.
But yeah, we need to have a new leader. We needed it yesterday. The worst thing we can do now is not recognize the problem, right? To fix a problem, we need to recognize that there is a problem. It's actually like very, very hard to fix something that you don't acknowledge is actually needing to be fixed. And I've been...
Mr. Murphy, no.
Base Mr. Murphy. That should be our next Senate leader. Chris Murphy from the state of Connecticut. That should be our leader. But we need to recognize that this is a problem. And until we do that, like, we're going to keep having these disappointments. I'm not just shitting on leadership because I'm trying to appeal to lefties in my audience. I hate that quote from it, and it's everywhere when I'm like...
Mr. McConnell, aye.
Fucking turtle guy. It's everywhere. Like, whenever I'm critical on Live and Learn or elsewhere of, like, Democratic leadership, people are like, oh, you're just trying to appeal to the lefties. And you're like, no, dude. Wake the fuck up. There's something wrong with leadership. The party's approval is in the fucking garbage. We're winning these elections in spite of it. But it could be so much better. I'm not recommending Bernie Sanders be Senate leader or something like that. I'm recommending Chris Murphy.
Mr. Whitehouse, no.
It's actually embarrassing for people who cope that way. I mean, I don't know. I feel like IRI it's not Schumer's fault. Schumer voted no. I don't know what he's supposed to do. One of the great things about the Democratic Party is we have, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I get it. I love IRI. I really do. But I think that there need to be some standards that we like live up to. By the way, Brian Schatz, I think, voted yes on the CR.
Mr. Fetterman, aye.
Fucking Fetterman, dude.
Mr. Warnock, no.
I'm gonna try to get you a whip count. Listen, I'm not as speaking of IRI. IRI is very good at
Mr.
like
Risch,
knowing the shit and doing
aye.
good analysis. 7 Democrats have voted yes.
Mr. Blumenthal, no.
Oh, so then when Fetterman votes yes, I mean, it's done, right? Because that's 8, isn't it? So that's 8, and so there's a 52. Like this is actual like the dead of night on a fucking Sunday. Absolutely disgusting. And they think we won't notice? I think it's 8, right? So I think there's a 52. And so that'll pass the House and it'll be signed into law. So it's fucking over. So in 2 seconds.
Mr. Hawley, aye.
Thank you so much, Christopher Whitfield. And you know, this, it doesn't even like, it is such a loser political move
Desserts,
too.
aye.
It is such a loser political move because now it does look that, oh, you waited until after the election to open the government. Now, I don't think that that's going to change people's perspective on it, but it looks really fucking cynical. It makes Democrats look like jackasses. Why? How many more times are we going to bail out this criminal government? When we are starting to get enthusiasm and fucking like, hell yeah, Democrats are feeling themselves. I'm like, Jeffries did really good on CNN. I'm like, fuck, you know, it looks like all kinds can be successful in these fucking elections. Not even a week passes and they're killing their enthusiasm. And now everyone's just pissed again. It's going to piss everyone the fuck off. And hey guys, what do you think? Also, by the way, you know what this makes irrelevant? The legal battle where Trump is breaking the law by not paying out the SNAP benefits. So like Trump has the legal authority right now to pay out SNAP benefits. And what is Trump doing? He's like going and first of all, refuting court orders and then going to the Supreme Court to argue that he doesn't have to pay them. Think about all the fucking, just in terms of pure pragmatic politics. So Trump can get a W. Why? Fucking why? Everyone's justifiably blaming him. They're the intransigent party. They're the party that is fucking this up. Trump is out there in fucking roaring 20s parties doing great Gatsby shit. Talking about his ballroom and, oh my God, look at the new entrance of the ballroom. These lavish and expensive dinners and extravagances. all the plane stuff he's doing, buying planes, being corrupt. Like, you could not ask for a more politically palpable contrast. I'll get you the names of the senators that did this. You know some of them. Thank you so much, Andy. These Dems are an absolute disgrace to the country. Just after the exhilaration of elections, they do this. And it's, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? And to just do it like this in the dead of night on a Sunday.
Is passed, and if this resolution is passed tonight, we are on a pathway to throw 15 million Americans off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. 15 million. Our job is to create universal health care. Guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child, not throw 15 million people off the health care they have, low income and working class people. And my friends, know what you are voting on. Studies are out there.
They literally just caved, bro. Yeah, there are no real concessions in this bill. We have Durbin, Maggie Hassan, Angus King from Maine. Fuck Angus King. Cortez Masto. Tim Kaine out of Virginia. Tim Kaine out of Virginia. Tim Kaine, who we all voted for, if you're based, when we voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, Tim Kaine, the cuck, after historic Democratic wins in Virginia. Historic. And Abigail Spanberger goes and says, you know, we should really reopen the government and just give, like, what the fuck? Tim Kaine, Shaheen, Fetterman, and Rosen, I think, from Nevada. Bro, fuck this part. Yeah, dude, like, I don't know if you're around, Josiah. It is such cuckoldry. And they knew. They did it on Sunday. They knew because they wanted to fucking just pass it really fast, really Sunday, and oh, get out of the way, and then something else happened. Oh my God, the deviousness. They think we're fucking idiots. They think we're fucking idiots. So they won their election. They won just now. And now they want to cuck their own party, their own base. It does look conniving. It does look fucking devious. Well, yeah, it has to go to the House, but the House is going to pass it. The House is going to pass it. And that's part of the problem. Like, you just have John Thune. John Thune is a cuck. John Thune can't get you anything. John Thune can pick a fucking booger from his nose and give it to you. That's the best that John Thune can promise you. That's the value of a vote in the fucking Senate. And there are two options. Either our Dems are like literal baboons, these 8 Dems, scratching their ass and like, oh, I can't read a poll. Like that must be, that's like a decent chance that our senators are so stupid that they are so out of touch that they think running away, what's this Brave Sir Robin running away? You know what I'm talking about? Fucking Monty Python. You know what I'm talking about, right? Or they're like in on it and corrupt, or they need the money to go through for some like for some purpose related to investments they have or some shit like that. Because I promise you, this is not in the long-term interest of Americans. Our time horizons are like in the next 2 weeks. You know, sometimes the short-term pain of something is worth it in the long run. You would never do a CR that just eviscerates all of like the democratic programs, right? Oh, but just to open the government. Obviously, everything has to be weighed against something else. But their time horizon is like 2 days. Or they're corrupt. I'm like, and it's just, it stinks to high heaven. I don't trust Schumer. Nobody trusts Schumer. Schumer deserves blame for this. He'll get blame for this. And every single one of these Democrats should be fucking primaried. No exceptions. No exceptions. And we should run a Democrat. I don't think Angus King is running again, but we should run a Democrat against him. It is just so painfully obvious. Sorry, I need to eat some watermelon. On a Sunday night. It reminds me of The Wire. It was like, there's like a Sunday truce or whatever that gets violated. When Barksdale, like, I don't know, they shoot at Omar or something. The Lord's Day. Hope everyone upset was pressuring their reps. They snuck it in. They did it really fast. They did it super fast. I organized that for the like a little bit of in the March one. I think I called on stream. I muted it at some point, but I called on stream and I was encouraging people to do that in stream. But this, like, the reporting happened and it's passed in like hours. It has not been like this. There was like hints of it. There were like little rumblings, but the news came out and then it was like over. God damn. Are there some of you that want to discuss this? All right, I see Big Mac.
Actually been gone crazy.
Yo, you're live. You're live. What up, Big Mac? I assume you're in support of this?
Oh wait, I think Pisco pulled me in.
Yeah, you're in. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yo,
I can hear you. You're a little quiet.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you still hear me though?
I can hear you right now. I could turn you up, but you might get feedback. Can you?
You're testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. I'm not getting feedback.
That's good.
All right, cool. So you support this?
I think with the SNAP benefits, I'm leaning towards. I think we got a good win with the out of year elections and a slight optics win. I'm leaning towards it, but I'm not super convinced.
So if you were in the Senate, are you sure how you would vote? Voting yes is voting for the package and the deal. Voting no is doing what most Democrats are doing. So do you know how you would vote?
I'd probably hold out longer. At least wait to see how the Supreme Court, if they approve like the emergency benefits for the SNAP.
Yeah, but like, imagine you're in the Senate right now, and like they're calling your name. Like, if you don't vote, they're gonna vote you. Like I don't know. I'll give you an hour, but you have to do something, or it's gonna be abstaining, or you're not gonna be counted.
We might have some agreement there. I don't get the just relentless dumping on Schumer is the main objection I have.
Okay, we can talk about that. So one of the things is like the vote itself, how you would vote. Thank you for super chat. The other is like the shitting on Schumer. So do you want to address the first one, or you don't really have a strong opinion on that?
I mean, I'd have to put myself in a particular district to think about how many angry calls and letters I'm getting about SNAP benefits not showing up. And
you can't think about it from an outside perspective, from like the perspective of what's better for the country.
I think we got a good win. I mean, I think it's the longest shutdown ever. I think that shows some teeth. If I was in a district that was really wanting to fight, I'd probably fight. If the feedback I was getting is people wanted their SNAP benefits, I'd lean towards that.
So you don't have a like, okay. So I get that what you're saying is your constituents, and by the way, it's the state, it's not the district, because we're just talking about the Senate. I think House Democrats are more unanimous against it. I imagine Jared Golden might be an exception from Maine, but I understand that you're saying that you would do whatever your constituents wanted you to do.
No, if I had a strong moral objection to what they're doing.
Hello?
I lost.
Yeah, do you have where do you stand on this issue? Because that's going to inform whether you ought to blame Schumer or shit on Schumer, right? Is like your intuition on what should be done. So you can't really, like, if you're taking the position, well, I might be against it, I might be in favor of it, depending on like what my constituents say, how can you like even engage in the don't shit on Schumer topic if you don't even have a very strong position on the very thing that we're shitting on him for? You understand? It seems like a component. It would tend to be a component of like whether we should criticize Schumer is like whether he or has some responsibility for a bad thing. Like I imagine you'd be okay with shitting on Schumer if he was a cannibal, right?
Yeah, and it's based on the harm caused by the lack of SNAP benefits going into the winter season. I don't know if I'm prepared to sustain all the harm that comes from that.
Okay, so do you want to talk about whether it's a good idea to pass this package or not? Because I can engage with like whether this is a good idea or not, but it seems like you're like ambivalent. You're not sure.
Yeah, I that's fair. It's a gray area. Yeah, it's great. I think you could take the win, the optics win, and
this is an optics fucking loss. The deal. This is a win for Trump optically.
I feel like that's mostly because you guys are just dumping down Schumer when he's got to keep a whole, gaggle of people in line. Like, and all it takes is 3 people to depart.
No, it's 8.
Then they have no.
it needed 8.
Yeah, and 8 lawmakers that are getting heckled about there's people's SNAP benefits not showing up. That's an achievable number. Whereas I just don't.
You need to blame Trump, like because Trump has the funds to pay the SNAP benefits. Congress appropriated in a 2024 appropriation and then 2025 the CR that was passed in March, billions of dollars for contingency funds for SNAP. They funded it.
If the Supreme Court, I mean, it's paused right now, right?
It was an admin stay. The First Circuit was hearing it. Trump was in court arguing not to pay SNAP. So I don't understand what, like, Trump has the legal authority to pay out benefits for SNAP this month. He has the money to do it. It's been appropriated by Congress. He chose not to, and you're basically letting him, in bad faith, use that to convince you that we should just cuck out and bend the knee.
No, if the stay gets lifted, I would be more enthusiastic to fight. But the thing is, I just don't think the Democrats' brand is to fight. Like, we know Trump cares less about SNAP benefits. I don't think that's winning people over.
So it sounds like you're saying we should accept any deal whatsoever to reopen the government, no matter how bad.
No, there's things you could put in a deal that I wouldn't accept.
Can you give an example?
It'll be literally anything.
Literally anything. How about like not providing for massive increases in healthcare expenditures that citizens are about to face?
I mean, I still think I would like them to at least get the extension to take us through the midterms for the benefits. That would give us a good something to campaign on. But just this, yeah, if you just put a
I'm asking what it would take for you not to support it. Why is this not enough?
If they had some additional measures that were negative, I mean, they already passed the BBB if they had additional measures outside of that, I would reject it.
Yeah, no, wait. That's additional reason to take a stand here, right? They're already we're successful at chipping away at healthcare protections for Americans. They stole like $800+ billion from Medicaid to give it to their rich friends. That's even more of a confounding reason to take a stand on healthcare now.
I just don't. I don't think. I think with the current media environment, we've reached an optimal number of people on the like anyone who still thinks it's Republicans' fault.
What the fuck? Like Trump's approval is cratering right now.
It's not cratering worse than the Democrats.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And anyway, yeah, why is the Democratic approval rating cratering? It's because of weak shit like this. This is going to make the Democratic approval rating even worse.
You're talking about your perspective. I don't know that the typical blue person is looking at would favor withholding SNAP at this point, just so you could place blame on Donald Trump. I don't know.
Trump is withholding SNAP. Trump is withholding SNAP. I'm going to say it 5 more times. Wait, I just need to say it 5 more times. Trump is withholding SNAP. Trump is withholding SNAP. Trump is withholding SNAP. Trump is withholding SNAP. Trump is withholding SNAP.
So could Schumer and 8 other Democrats provide SNAP this week if they wanted to? If that was their only thing they wanted to do?
If they wanted to do it, obviously, but that could be true of any like.
Okay.
Wait. That could be true of like any bullshit. Let's say, okay, we'll pay for SNAP, but you just have to get rid of Social Security. Would you pass that bill?
No, I'm saying.
Okay, so wait. So the mere fact that if they just surrender to the fact that the Trump administration is using SNAP as a fucking hostage situation after it was funded with contingency funds, the fact that they're doing that, it seems like there are lines that you're not willing to acquiesce to that kind of tactic.
I would, if the legal arguments for withholding those contingency funds are really absurd. I don't know a lot about those.
They are they're absurd. The funds were specifically appropriated for this kind of situation.
If they're true, that's all lost on the voters.
What are you talking about? We just had a massive wins. Why are those massive wins part of the reason? And Trump himself recognized it.
I'm saying with that massive wins,
wait. So Trump literally recognized it. Trump is saying we got blamed for the shutdown. Trump is saying get rid of the filibuster because it's a political issue for us. We just had massive fucking sweep in the Democratic chambers of the House of Delegates in Virginia, all across the country. We have massive Democratic wins. And your take is, well, the voters won't understand and they'll blame Democrats. Like, what is the case that they'll blame Democrats?
For withholding SNAP. The
Trump is withholding SNAP, dipshit. Okay. Sorry to yell at you, but that's what's happening. Trump is withholding SNAP, not Democrats.
Dude, both me and you are in agreement that the lion's share of blame goes to Trump. I mean, I literally Googled longest shutdown. I thought maybe like some 1860 bullshit. It's literally the number 1 longest shutdown now. He's number 2 as well. Like, we're both in agreement that he's a loser, that he can't negotiate.
No, but you're saying Democrats, I can't justify Democrats withholding SNAP. Trump is withholding SNAP.
But they could restore SNAP at the cost of Medicaid benefits that aren't likely to come through anyway. So what?
No. Wait. No. It's the
what is your win condition?
It's the ACH
I get wait. You cut me off. So I get that you would like to get you don't want to enter the cucked position of we folded. But what's your win condition?
It's very clear. Is to extend the ACA subsidies. I would take a year extension. They were talking about that. An actual year extension of the ACA subsidies, push it off a little bit at least.
And what's the likelihood?
That's a compromise, by the way. That's a compromise.
Oh, 100%. So what's the likelihood that they're willing to fold in the near future on that?
The Republicans?
In your mind? Yes.
In the near future, not particularly high.
I mean, 60 days. I mean, how long are you gonna?
Not particularly high, but that's the position. That's the bottom line. Democrats should hold for the bottom line. If you actually have a position which is your bottom line, you need to hold to it. You can't just say, yes, we're going to fight for it. And then if you're going to do that, don't even have this fight in the first place. if you're going to just cuck out near the end, we're better off you not fighting in the first place if you're just going to give up. And so I'll ask you, are you supporting the Democrats initiating this in the first place by having a bottom line?
Honestly, my complete honest opinion is I was considering all the
yes or no to my question. Sorry. And then you can yes, can you answer my question, then you can explain.
What was it?
The question is, were you in favor of this fight in the first place? To actually take this? Okay, so then why would you be in favor of a fight where there's a bottom line, negotiating a bottom line, and then just you're in favor of us abandoning that? Why? Why would you be in favor of that? Starting a fight that you are just going to abandon? If you don't have the guts to do it, don't start it.
I think they got enough bad coverage for their incoherent comments on Snap, and we got a big win for the off-year elections, and I think we can take the win there and give people their SNAP benefits and then fight during the midterms.
So your position is we got enough of a win in the midterm elections. That's why you're comfortable ending it.
And
you're
just
plain
the prospect of people going through a winter and holiday season without SNAP, I don't know if
it's terrible. What about the prospect of people going into medical debt and not being covered and having to pay premiums that are insane amounts? Does that strike you with fear? Does that strike you with fear?
I'm so black-pilled on that. I mean, people literally. How many interviews have we seen people talk about how they love their Medicare, and then you say Obamacare, and they're like, "Fuck that!" Like,
I'm asking you whether or not the prospect. You say like the prospect of people not having their SNAP benefits over the winter scares me. Yeah, I mean it sucks. Luckily, we have over the winter contingency funds to pay SNAP benefits. Thankfully, we thought ahead. Now I'm asking you whether you're fearful of the prospect of people having to pay triple their insurance premiums.
I guess I would concede, and I'd like to see Democrats. Like if they conceded tonight, I'd probably be like, they should have public messaged about the Supreme Court denying the emergency funds a little harder. I don't know why
we haven't had fucking time. Wait, we don't have any time because we are in the middle of the night on Sunday, just folding for nothing, for a promise for a Senate vote. Even the biggest cuck influencers like Matt Iglesias, who stands Schumer to no end, is like, this is shit. Why are you going on a limb here? You even said you're not sure how you would vote. But now you're sure we should do this?
I don't know how I would vote, but I'm saying I don't know that I'm confident that I could prevent 8 people who are being pressured from voting. That's the difference. I don't know why you're so confident that a leader that's a bit younger could somehow whip all these votes. Like, that's just ahistoric. Like, I don't know why you think.
Why is that ahistoric? Jeffries is probably going to do it, and Pelosi did it.
You shit on Pelosi all the time. What are you talking about?
I don't shit on her all the time.
What's the French term? They don't have the je ne sais quoi or whatever.
I just think that they're fucking. So some of the leadership are like, they're cringe because of their optics and stuff, and what they say is like boomer shit. That's what but I'm not this like person who just, my whole brand is shitting on Pelosi or Schumer or that kind of thing. Like, I respect them for what that is not at all my brand. Holy fuck. Are you a Hutch viewer?
No, I'm a live and learn regular.
Dude, it's not my brand to shit on centrist Dems. That's not true. I stand Biden. I respect the legislation that they were able to pass in those 2 years with Speaker Pelosi and with Schumer. And so it's just not the case. What I'm saying is right now, this fight, the leadership is shitty. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. It's not just like crazy lefties who think the leadership, especially in the Senate, is fucked. Insider like people, Senate aides, senators themselves are frustrated with his leadership, and just the base itself. Democrats generally. Last I checked, Schumer's approval rating was like 28, and like negative among Democrats. It's horrible.
So let's say there's a February Pisco, and we're still somehow in a government shutdown. Is your messaging is just going to be the same?
Yup. Yes.
Okay.
And Democrats should try to self-fund private food things and make a big deal of it, of how the Trump administration is denying SNAP benefits to individuals. Because that's what's happening. So yes, when you set out a bottom line, I expect you to fight. Not be a little bitch coward.
I could see that. I'm not, repulsed at that argument.
Yeah, that's why
Can
we're
I
pissed.
ask-
That's why, yeah, go for it. Ask.
Can I ask one more question before I sign off?
Mhm.
Or not even a question. Did you see the booing at the Washington game?
I did, but
Dude, that shit got me hyped, dude. I would love to. Oh man! And then I saw Hegseth too. I would have bought a ticket just to boo those guys.
you care about like these. You care more about that than this.
It's just you seem confident in your ability to convince low information voters.
Me? I don't think I'm going to convince them.
Well,
I give
you
off
seem
like
confident that the low information voters will interpret Chuck Schumer a certain way.
no. I just
that I
read the
don't-
polling. Democrats don't like Schumer.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say read the polling. People like Trump. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not.
I do say that. He was actually fucking. His approval was tanking.
Okay, I see that.
Oh right, so I'm mad that we're bailing him out. When it's his fault, everything's his fault.
I would like a year. Yeah, I could at least wait for make the Supreme Court have a more definitive answer on the emergency funds.
Great, so you would vote no, right?
Tonight? Yeah.
Great, we're in agreement, man. All right,
All right. Take care.
see you later, bro. Let me give you a little disconnect here, little fucker. Yo, what up, Red Sparrow? How we doing?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. Just looking at my fellow Democrats in the Senate.
Yeah, listen. So I'm just going to start.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of annoyed, but I think that this was kind of a win-win either way that this vote went. I think getting into the shutdown for the reasons that we did is totally understandable. And oh shoot, I can see you talking on the stream, but
Oh, I didn't say anything. No, I was just.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Bit
Okay.
my
I just
lip.
wanted to make sure I was going.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
just a little bit behind on this.
You're good.
So I think the reasons why we got into the shutdown were very well messaged, and everybody kind of knows why we're here and what we're doing. And throughout the shutdown, we've made the Republicans step on a ton of fucking rakes. Like, especially over the last couple of weeks, Trump demanding the filibuster be revoked, which is sort of like proof positive that they had the power to do it, that they could have ended the shutdown whenever they want. He just admitted it. And then I think also him going against the court judge where they ordered him to pay out the SNAP benefits, and him saying, no, I'm not going to take the out. I'm going to press and beg the Supreme Court to go ahead and keep on blocking this thing. I think that's cool. We have like the sound bites that we need from this to prove that he knew what he was doing. He knew that there was a way out, and they still just did nothing for a month. And now that we're into like the first a couple of weeks of this month where SNAP benefits are being revoked, people are starting to feel that. So it sucks that this ride comes to an end right now. And I think if we were to push it farther, we would get a lot more concessions out of the Republican Party, or at least make them sweat a little bit longer. But I think if we have to do it right now, and people are getting calls from their constituents saying, hey, my fucking kids are going hungry, I would rather pay higher healthcare premiums than my kids go hungry, I think that this is a fairly decent time for them to back out and say, all right, this is totally fine. It sucks. Schumer voted to continue. He wants to keep on moving forward with the plan. But there were just constituencies throughout America that said, we don't want to continue this, or it's more important for me to feed my kids than to keep this shutdown going. Please reopen the government. Please do this.
And so you would do that
I think
and like if the CR contained massive cuts on major other elements of the government. Like you basically do this for anything. Like it doesn't really matter.
I don't think so. I
Okay,
think
so
if for example,
why is this not a line
like, if
worth fighting for? If you are willing to bend on something, on what would it take for you to be like, okay, I don't care. Like, unfortunately, I cannot prioritize this at the moment, especially when it's Trump's responsibility. He has the authority and appropriation power right now to use contingency fees or appropriations to actually pay those SNAP benefits. Why now you wouldn't fight, but you would fight on some other theoretical CR that was unacceptable? Can you talk me through why this is not a reasonable ground to fight on? And if it's not, why did we start this fight in the first place if we knew this was a possibility?
I think it is reasonable ground to fight on. I think it's just there's a risk that you lose public support in constituencies where it actually matters.
There's always a risk of something. There's a risk that we gain massively. Why is this? What is your intuition? Why is it back that Democrats all of a sudden, after consistent poll week after week, not getting blamed? Republicans getting blamed.
Correct me if I'm
There's
wrong.
Always risk.
The senators that are voting to support this, I'm just going to go out on a limb and just guess this. I'm going to say it's probably some of those Democratic regions where their elections were a lot closer, where they like barely got through.
No,
these are probably
we talk
not
about
deep
Virginia
blue districts that are voting for this, right?
So Tim Kaine from Virginia, massive blue wave in Virginia, historic blue wave in Virginia.
Blue wave, or are they purple?
No, blue fucking wave. And you know what makes up a lot of Virginia's voter base? Are government workers who voted in Democrats. Why did a state which is filled with like disproportionately affected people from the government shutdown in Virginia do a massive blue wave? If in the presence of the conditions of the shutdown, if they were going to backlash against Democrats, wouldn't you expect to see them not massively overperform the polls? We're talking about practically a supermajority in the House of Delegates in Virginia. So where is this feeling that, the risk to Democrats now will be like, wouldn't the intuition be, Republicans have been blamed. Republicans continue to be blamed. Trump's approval rating is cratering. But now we think that the Democrats are going to be blamed. Like, where are you getting that?
I don't think that caving now benefits Trump virtually at all. I think he's going to keep on saying what he said before. I don't think it really helps him now that the Dems are saying, all right, let's go ahead and do it. I think Dems are just proving, okay, fine. Once again, we'll be the fucking adults in the room and we'll, you know what I mean, get the government running and doing the things it's supposed to do. And I just think it's going to be a better optical win. If we keep on doing the shutdown and the SNAP benefits keep on getting withheld for longer and longer periods of time, even if we keep on fighting, that's still just like you have to make the choice. Are you going to pay more for your healthcare premiums? For a lot of whom, for like the people that are affected by the SNAP benefits, they're probably not able to afford a healthcare plan in the first place. So a lot of this stuff really doesn't.
I don't understand how that's
matter
responsive to what I'm saying. So like you had just suggested that I bet all of these senators are from places in which they're very deep blue. Right. We're talking about places, so we can go through them. So Maggie Hassan is from New Hampshire. I mean, I guess that's kind of purplish. Angus King from Maine, kind of purplish. But you also have Tim Kaine as an example. That's Virginia, as I just said. That swung to that was becoming more purple.
Blue than not.
And let me check the other folks here. But again, I'm not sure what your conclusion therefore is. If the Democrats who voted in favor of this are from potentially more vulnerable places, what does that tell you? Why are you thinking that is helpful for your position?
Well, I mean, it would help share out support in those districts. I mean,
Dick Durbin in Illinois, massively blue states.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not going to say that necessarily all of these are, but more often than not, a lot of these are probably going to be closer to purple districts. I think it makes sense to look at it in an electoral sense.
So if it were the case, which is not so far from what I'm seeing, maybe there's like 3 or 4 or 5 from moderate, but you have a couple there from more blue states.
I mean, how many votes was it? You said it was it 13?
It's like 8 votes or 8 or 9 votes.
8 votes. See, right.
My question is, if it were the case that they were more independent, like why would that factor into your decision making?
why would we try to shore up votes in more purple districts?
Why is it your intuition that this is a place of vulnerability for Democrats in purple districts? Why is that your intuition? Why is it your intuition that the Democrats are going to be more disproportionately blamed?
Generally cave.
No, I'm not.
They're going
I'm
to
not
be the ones that
asking
generally
you
cave on
for
these
your
sort of things.
fucking take on whether they're going to be more likely to be blamed. I'm asking, where's your intuition that this issue that they're going to be blamed for this and not Republicans?
Give me a second. I'm kind of trying to think through it.
Yeah, so I'll talk it out while you think. So
It's
it could be the case that these purple states will like disproportionately blame Democrats for the shutdown, or they could blame Republicans. Do you have a link to that, Josiah? Because I do definitely want to see it.
Oh, is he coming in?
I don't know if he's coming in, but he's.
Oh, gotcha. No, I thought he was providing some
fucking
some notes in the chat.
cuckolds are doing the press conference.
Oh, gotcha.
But do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm like saying there could be one intuition that the purple states are going to blame Democrats for this, or they could be blaming Republicans. And I'm asking, why do you think we should be more scared that they'll blame Democrats, given the election results, given the approval ratings, given the comparative polling?
I would say that the most likely thing, the bigger reason why I would assume that these people caved is that they're probably hearing from their constituents directly that this is the thing that's worried for them. Now, it's entirely possible that, well, I mean, obviously it's passed now, so there's fuck all that we can do about it at this point. That if we heard that they were making this push and then we had a chance to sort of like push back and get more calls to those governors, that maybe that would have pushed them closer towards like holding the line. But my guess is they probably just heard from their constituents more often than not that they would prefer SNAP over the Medicare subsidies.
No, I understand that they're probably hearing from constituents or whatever about whatever. My question is, where's your intuition that people would more blame Democrats than Republicans?
My intuition is that, especially right now in this Trump government, is that people can see on its face how ridiculous the Trump administration is being. The only people that he's popular with right now are basically his hardcore base, and even that is kind of like starting to slip right now. So, shoot, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah. I just think that we've consistently had evidence of the contrary, that Democrats are able to leverage this issue to gain victories and to gain PR wins. That's what my intuition and the evidence, I think, has shown. And I don't think that there's good evidence to the contrary. And even Trump says that, right? Like,
all right.
Trump is the one who said Republicans are being blamed. If Trump feels vulnerable on this issue, such that he's getting people to say we're in favor of getting rid of the filibuster, why would we like question that? Why would we think, oh yeah, now is a time when Democrats are very vulnerable?
I don't know, man. I just think it always ends up turning against us in the end. I don't know. Maybe it's just
playing with fear.
Maybe this is just a hit dog hollering.
Yeah, I think it is.
Let's put it that way. This is probably just a hit dog hollering. But I don't know. That doesn't necessarily mean the voters won't hit us, because they have before. Pretty much both times that this country elected Trump, it was Dems getting hit. So, yeah, I don't know. That's fair. I'll let you go ahead and take another disagreement. I've pretty much said my piece. I just think it's for those constituents. I think that there's going to be a choice between, Medicare premiums and SNAP, and I think that that's going to be an easy decision for a lot of, especially parents in this country. So
appreciate your input, man.
Anyway, yep. Bye.
All right, guys, we're gonna if there's any disagreements, you guys can stick around. But I just want to take a listen to some of the cucks real quick. Okay. Angus King.
You the latest on that. Let's go ahead and take a listen in right now.
Achieving some needed support for the extension of the tax credits. Our judgment was that it would not produce that result. And the evidence for that is almost 7 weeks of fruitless attempts to make that happen. Would it?
We thought the Republicans would listen to us in 7 weeks. And it turns out they're wrong. Holy shit, these boomers.
Would it change in a week or another week or after Thanksgiving or Christmas? And there's no evidence that it would.
Then don't start the fight. If this entire fight is premised on Republican reasonability, why start it? Right? Like, if this whole thing is premised on, oh, Trump will be reasonable. Trump will be reasonable, actually, and maybe he would be convinced about all the hurt people that are, suffering from the shutdown. Why would you start this fight on the premise of that? Loser.
What there is evidence of is the harm that the shutdown is doing to the country. What it's doing to millions of federal workers, but also what it's doing to tens of millions of recipients of SNAP. This is a true crisis for those individuals.
You're assuming responsibility when Trump is the one denying access to funds. He's in court arguing for that. How the fuck do you mess that up?
Soup kitchens can't fill the gap. Food pantries can't fill the gap. SNAP is an essential part of the food, the food.
So you'd give it up for anything, and you didn't think about that before you got into this fight in the first place? You didn't think about that, yeah, this is to maximize mid and long-term benefit for the country? The whole point of this is to have lines and to actually negotiate and to encourage a culture of negotiation with the opposite party. They have complete control of Congress. The president, the occupant, correct myself, was talking about getting rid of the filibuster because they control the chambers. And you're going to just sit there and say, yeah, that was the risk you took when you fought for your principles. You should have known that. And this shows Democrats don't have the stomach to actually fight for the long-term, midterm interests of the country. If you just took this position, let the Republicans hold the whole country hostage, we're just going to turn into a fucking authoritarian dictatorship. Right? This is the same excuse that the law firms gave for bending the knee to Trump. The same excuse that the universities gave for bending the knee. All our students are being... Yeah. It's a problem. That's called authoritarianism. That's called Republican bullshittery. Would you say that about the big, beautiful bill? Well, they threatened us if we don't vote for this to cut all of our Medicaid, then they're not going to fund it at all. So we might as well... Dude, get these weak fucking Democrats out of my sight.
Provision program in this country. And so we were faced with a strategy or a series of steps that wasn't working to achieve the goal we wanted with regard to the ACA. But
imagine that. Imagine the naivete of all of this, right? And it's so stupid. Because if you believe him, right? If you believe him, think about it. If you believe him, then you think he thought, we're really going to convince the Republicans to do what's in the best interest of the country. We really thought they were going to move. That's how we started. So you would have to be a fucking idiot then. So in terms of intelligence, you're like fucking Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan level, and like you're a stupid person if you think that. that the Republicans are going to be convinced by all of your good arguments in those weeks. But here's the crazy part. It was working. Trump was out saying it's the Republicans' fault. They were feeling the pain of it. They were in court trying to stop paying these SNAP benefits when it had already been appropriated. And you let them take an optical W. So not only was the country convinced by the argument, not only had you convinced by virtue of your example in the midterms, the pre-midterms, the 2015 elections, that the American people were standing by you, you were winning. But if we're meant to believe that you went into this whole negotiation with the notion that we were going to get Trump to be reasonable on the on expanding Obamacare, think about how fucking crazy that is, right? That we were going to get Trump to, without the force of a negotiation, be convinced to expand Obamacare by reasonable argument as opposed to some sort of negotiated settlement. That was naive from the beginning. You should never have gotten into this fight in the first place.
Same time, creating hardship and difficulty for millions of people across this country.
That's what Trump's doing.
So I believe that we are closer tonight to a vote on the ACA tax credits than we were this morning.
He just said that to you. A vote where? A vote in the Senate. We don't need a vote. We need the thing. We need the thing. Imagine that you're in a jail in Sikot, and the prison guard says, I want you to vote. Do you want McDonald's or not McDonald's? And you're like, oh, I vote for McDonald's. Okay. No, like the vote isn't what matters. The thing matters. Because you're not going to get it if all you get is a Senate vote. And it relies on the promise. Again, like think about it. He went into it, if you believe him, with this like feeling of genuine good faith with the Republicans. And now he's making the same mistake again by just trusting them to follow through, on the vote for it, in one chamber, in one branch of government necessary to actually pass the damn thing. Jesus Christ.
Because part of this agreement, and you heard the majority leader on the floor today say he is committed to putting a bill on the floor before the second week in December that would be drafted by the Democrats concerning health care in the ACA. That is a big step.
Big step.
Because otherwise, there's no way for the minority to get a bill onto the floor of the U.S. Senate. It has to be through the office of the majority leader. So that was a major step.
A major step to have a vote in the Senate. And you believe him? And you believe Trump is going to pass it? You believe Trump is going to pass it? You don't need to talk to Thune. You need to talk to the White House.
To get the majority leader to agree to make that commitment tonight on the Senate floor. So,
all right, I'm going to go over some super chats real quick. Watch, they won't even have an explanation tomorrow. They will look at us like we are dumb and we needed to end the longest shutdown in history. That's Christopher Whitfield. Captain 4771 says, is it possible Dems will get the praise for allowing government to reopen while Republicans keep the blame for shutting it down in the first place? That's the kind of unknown, is who do you give credit for ending the shutdown? But also, like, why should we care about that? Where is the indication that will make that will do anything for the country in the long run or for the political prospects in the future? The shutdown, to the extent that it had an effect, it was felt in the midterms. It seems to have had an effect. And it's continuing to cause Trump's approval rating to go down. That's tangible. That's something that matters. Whether Democrats get the benefit from, I'm not sure that matters. If this November says, if the SNAP benefits is what broke the Dems, what's to stop Trump and Vought from impounding those funds in the future to bend the Dems to their will once a budget has been right. I mean, but this is absolutely a good point. Is they're already fucking with the budget in untold ways, and so the existential risk for benefits is like they're always. I mean, they're already breaking the law by not funding SNAP right now with the contingency funds. Captain further says Trump has now established that in the future government funding, if he wants to get concessions from Democrats, all he has to do is hold funding to some essential service like SNAP, and the Democrats will give 100%. That cannot be the precedent, right? So you understand the point there, right? The point isn't that people won't suffer. Is letting this be the precedent will encourage other horrible shit. That's why taking a stand against these fuckers needs to happen sooner rather than later. The sooner, the stronger, the better. Why are we like doing this and like feeding the beast as though it will be satiated by the eating? Pondering politics, you should see the co-obsession press. Yeah, we're watching it right now. Christopher Whitfield says, doesn't it just encourage Republicans to never negotiate because they know Dems will cave? Yes, just like the March one did, right? Remember, the March one didn't even have a deal, right? In March, we didn't even get any concession. And now we just get a token concession. So what does this precedent show? Democrats are shit negotiators. Remember, nobody will remember the irreparable harms done by the GOP. Everyone will remember the spineless Dems who folded. I hope that's not true. I mean, obviously I want the Democrats to be able to do well, but it's so like, no. This sucks. This is shitty. Anyone who's trying to convince you that this is good is a cuck. And the proof is in the pudding. Who are the people who are actually against this? It's all the based people. It's Chris Murphy. It's the House Democrats who in general I feel like are more in tune with the Democratic electorate than the senators. It's the state Democrat leaders that we have been appreciating. Gavin Newsom, Pritzker, Bernie Sanders, based as fuck, generally, not on everything, but generally based as fuck. All the good people are vocally against this. And all the cucks are in favor of it.
The sum is we are closer to the possibility of work on the ACA
Fuck.
a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or a month ago. So
we're closer.
This agreement
is
tonight
really good.
is a win for the American people. And it's a win for those people that are so insistent that I'm hearing from all the time, protect our health care. Our judgment is the best way to do that is to get a bill on the floor. Is there a guarantee it will pass? No. Is it a guarantee it will pass in the House? There is actually some very strong...
Look at this crazy. He's delusional. He's delusional. He thinks it has a chance if you don't have the backing of the White House.
Is to get a bill on the floor. Is there a guarantee it will pass? No. Is it a guarantee it will pass in the House? There is actually some very strong interest in the House, a possibility of a bipartisan bill.
Very strong interest.
And get a discharge petition, and then perhaps we're on the way.
A discharge petition. A discharge. You know what that means? That means, do you know what that signals? He knows Mike Johnson is not on board. Because you wouldn't need a discharge petition if Mike Johnson were on board. So he's basically, this is the thinking of it, right? We'll get a discharge petition. And we'll go around Johnson because we don't have Johnson. And then it'll pass the House. Will it pass the Senate? Ugh. Oh, will it pass the Senate? Oh, well, we can't confirm that. But in the House, maybe we're going to do a discharge petition. And then it'll go to Trump and he'll veto it because, of course, Trump is less reasonable than Mike Johnson. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. I want to fucking end it all. I need you to steal man Hutch's tweets, not the retweets on this recent. Stop going after idiot chatters. Said from Anonymous. I will definitely, we'll do a review of Hutch's Twitter. And we'll be fair and balanced. I'm fair, but I'm also balanced. And so we'll take a look.
And we have that expression from Republican senators who are interested in working on a bill that will deal with the ACA issue and perhaps additional healthcare issues at the same time. So what happened tonight is not the closing of it.
So Angus is like, oh, this is going to be great. We'll finally negotiate with Republicans and we'll have a grand bargain of a plan on healthcare. I seriously have never in the last year haven't heard a more delusional take than that. Oh, we're so close to this good faith agreement on healthcare, and the GOP will finally be ready. We'll be ready to have a grand bargain on healthcare. Bro, are you fucking stupid? They just voted to defund Medicaid. Trump is saying get rid of Obamacare and just give people $500 and have an end of it. And also, this is a great comment by They Contempt. You think you're going to be able to negotiate that grand bargain on healthcare? With these motherfuckers, I would rather not even have that fucking deal-making process. You guys will probably give away the store. You see, we had to get rid of pre-existing conditions and this because otherwise we weren't going to be able to have any of the Medicaid exchanges at all. Because obviously prices are going up. Like, just the notion that you think it's realistic that we're going to get some grand bargain or that it would be in the Democrats' interest to negotiate with this insane Republican majority in the House and the Republican majority in the Senate, that the senators who have consistently defunded our social insurance net, including and especially when it comes to health insurance, would be interested in some grand bargain that helps with health insurance or healthcare. You are crazy. You are not on your... What you need to do is win elections. You're not going to be able to get anything done with these corrupt Republicans. This is not a normal situation. Angus King is too old, too naive, too stupid to see that.
Chapter is the opening of an opportunity. What the chapter it does close is the damaging shutdown that is only getting worse, that is only going to impact more
I
and more
know
people.
he's an independent, Jen. I'm just saying that he caucuses with Democrats.
And it's an opportunity for us to move forward
So
on
was
behalf
Bernie, but we've referred to Bernie that. Similar.
of all the people of this country on the issue of health care, but also on making the federal government function. Thank you.
Well,
Oh my God.
good evening, everybody. At a time when families desperately need relief, Washington's dysfunction is making life harder for families. And the last 30
And obviously Democrats aren't going to be able to take this, like to the extent that there's a optical win for reopening the government, the Democrats are largely voting against it and they condemn it. The overwhelming majority of both chambers are going to be voting against it in terms of the Democrats. So we're not going to be able to we don't get to celebrate that because we were against it.
9 days are proof of that. A record-long government shutdown paired with record-high health insurance cost increases is not the kind of history that the American people want Congress to make.
Yeah, they did
Over the
panic and they did cave.
last several weeks, I've heard from Granite Staters who can't afford a doubling of their health insurance costs. I've also heard from families about the deep pain that the government shutdown has caused, made worse by a president who illegally and repeatedly chose to cut off help for families.
And you bailed him out. You bailed him. So imagine that, right? So Trump is levying illegal taxes on the country with his tariffs. Trump is illegally withholding funds that were appropriated specifically for SNAP benefits. And you're bailing him out while he's having fucking great Gatsby parties. While he's lavishly celebrating life's delights. You're bailing him out. Fernandez says special election in Tennessee 7 in early December. Afton Ben is a legit candidate too. We'll see. Yeah.
Who are just trying to buy groceries. After weeks of bipartisan conversations, I voted today to reopen the government so that we can get back to the work of helping Granite Staters. This agreement funds SNAP and food assistance programs, ensure.
And the thing is, fuck you, Maggie Hassan. Because if you're just doing this is Maggie Hassan, right? I don't know if it is. I think it is. If you're just doing this to benefit your election as a New Hampshire senator, and you're not thinking about the country overall and staying united against encroaching authoritarianism and bad policy from Trump, I'm so done with it. Why are we rallying to support these candidates who can only think in the near term about their next election, if that's what's going on here? Maggie Hassan. Maggie Hassan Fiker.
That law enforcement, air traffic controllers, and other federal workers get paid, reverses the president's recent reckless layoffs and prevents them from happening in the future, and crucially,
prevents government layoffs from happening? Are you out of your mind? Well, what, because you wrote a law about it?
Congress a clear path forward.
That shit is gone. As my father used to say, ya fue ya. It's already gone. It's out of your hands. The fuckery in the executive branch is out of your hands. That's the price that we're paying for voting in Trump in 2024. And that's all been priced in already. It's gone. Ya fue. You're not going to stop the illegal firings. You're not going to stop the destructive reorganization of government. That stuff is baked in. That is baked in.
Protecting people.
I have about 20 more minutes and I have to be out. So I might take one disagreeer after we look at a little bit more. Listen, I don't want to say traitor to America because I think it's too strong language. I don't think it's, I'm going to give, I don't even know if I want to do that. I think it's fecklessness. I think it's fear, stupidity, or corruption. But it is so disappointing and demoralizing after what should be like a triumphalism, a revitalization of the party. We had Democratic Socialist Mamdani win in New York. We had moderates win. It was a great week for Democrats. They were feeling the pressure. And all you've done now is completely shit on the base, shit on the Democrat loyalists, shit on all of us who were singing your praises less than a week ago. Never ends.
Healthcare. Our work to deliver relief for families now enters an important phase. Congress has 1 month to engage in serious bipartisan negotiations to extend the Affordable Care Act's expiring tax cuts that help people afford their health insurance. And let's be really clear, part of what has been happening is the time period to make that meaningful extension of these tax cuts has been dwindling. We are getting closer and closer to the time in which families have to decide whether they can buy their health insurance or not and enroll in health insurance in this coming year.
So yeah, that's what you priced in when you started this negotiation. If you weren't ready for that, you shouldn't have started the fight. You should have just been like, yes, Trump, we'll do the CR. You don't need to negotiate with us. We'll just do whatever you say. If you weren't willing to actually have a bottom line that you stuck to, then what's the point of negotiating? Seriously. What's the point of negotiating? And you've just made it harder in future negotiations because no one buys any of your positions. Because everyone knows, oh, well, you can grab a few Democrats. You can grab a few opportunistic Democrats or stupid Democrats or deluded Democrats who think that there might be a grand bargain on healthcare, independent/Democrats.
So my Democratic colleagues and I have been ready to work on this issue, on extending these tax cuts for months. With the government reopening shortly, Senate Republicans now finally have to come to the table. Or
what? Or fucking what? That is so. Now they have to.
Months. With the government reopening shortly, Senate Republicans now finally have to come to the table. Or, make no mistake, Americans will remember who stood in the way. So,
can you? These people, they literally have no clue. No clue. They'll remember who it was who didn't. I am totally at a loss. So your thing is the people will remember who stood in the way of needed reforms or needed subsidies, but they wouldn't remember who was illegally denying them SNAP benefits during the shutdown? Or what? or we'll write a very strongly word. Like, this was your one piece of leverage. There's no or what now until the next, what do they extend it to, February? But if it goes to February, right? Like, let's say it goes, we open the government for another few months. Now what? What is the incentive then? This is the problem. This is why the March fight was so telling. Because all it was doing was kicking the can down the road. And not applying maximum PR pressure to this illegal, corrupt administration.
I urge Speaker Johnson to finally return the House of Representatives into session and quickly reopen the government. And I urge all Americans in communities red, blue, and purple to continue to speak out about the importance of affordable health care so that families across America can get that critical care that they need. Thank you.
This was an inspiring speech. Who's inspired? Raise your hand if you're, this was great. I really love Maggie Hassan now. Maggie Hassan is the best. Raise your hand if you really appreciated that statement. It sounded like she really cared about you, right?
Thank you. And I thank my colleagues for their good work.
Cortez Masto.
The vote tonight.
All of these candidates that we supported them to fight against Trump. We supported them to actually help the American people, not to be cowards and back down.
You've heard all of us talking about this. The vote tonight was crucial to open the government because too many Americans, hardworking individuals, seniors, children, were suffering. I know in Nevada, particularly that is based on a service industry, tourism and travel, we are doubly hit. Tariffs, bad policies of this administration, and the shutdown was having an impact on travel to our state and quite honestly across the country. But it wasn't just that. We have federal workers that were suffering. We have TSA agents. We have airport controllers. And we were seeing lines to our food banks in northern Nevada. These were lines that I hadn't seen since the pandemic. And the stories were horrific.
They're horrific. They're the administration's fault. And you bent the knee. And you bent the knee. And now they know exactly where to twist. They know exactly where to twist. And so you'll never be taken seriously in any negotiation ever. You're useless to us. You're a knee bender. When you had maximum leverage, when you had maximum effect, you gave it up because you couldn't handle the heat. You couldn't handle the heat for situations that the administration is responsible for. And so at this point, why not just try to cut all programs and just hold SNAP and all these other, pain points for Democrats hostage? I mean, is there any line that you're going to stand for at this point? And trust me, Trump and the Republicans can find plenty of pain points after today.
Seniors in line, needing food because they couldn't get access to the food that they usually would get at the federal level. One man came and refused to say who he was because he was embarrassed and said I shouldn't be here, but he needed the food. Mothers coming to the food bank to get food for their children. My colleagues know that opening the government was key to stopping that pain. But here's the thing. We can open the government and we can still fight to address
how?
This looming healthcare crisis.
How?
It is true. Right
How?
now in our state
How?
and across the country, Americans are seeing higher costs, higher premiums for their Affordable Care Act. These are people that need access to healthcare. I have families.
No, we want to know how. We can still fight. All right. Listen to how she says that.
My colleagues know that opening the government was key to stopping that pain. But here's the thing. We can open the government and we can still fight to address this looming healthcare crisis.
How?
It is true. Right now, in our states and across the country, Americans are seeing higher costs, higher premiums for their affordable.
Yeah, because the expiration of the credits. That's what you were fighting for. That's what you started this negotiation for. That's what you wanted. But how are you going to get it now?
Care Act. These are people that need access to health care. I have families that rely on the Affordable Care Act and these subsidies so that their children who have a rare disease can access their medication. I have small businesses who rely on the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies to help cover the costs for their employees. This is a fight that the Republicans need to understand is not just happening in Nevada, it is happening across the country in every state, including those red states. This fight tonight is I agree with Senator Angus. It's just the beginning. This is the beginning to show and fight for Americans across the country. Let me
It's just the beginning because you actually believe the delusional retiree, Angus King, that there's going to be some grand bargain on healthcare from the Republicans. They don't have a plan. They've never had a plan. They just want to destroy it. They want to destroy it. That's why they defunded Medicaid to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars in the big, beautiful bill. So you're also delusional. So you have mental problems, actually.
to say this. With the government open, we can focus on passing a full bipartisan budget for 2026 that starts with a minibus that will restore funding that President Trump cut. It delivers millions.
Listen, we can. If by can you mean there's no contradiction logically entailed, yeah, I guess you can. In terms of can you, in the sense of like, is there a realistic possibility in the current universe, in the current Milky Way galaxy, in the current nebula?
That starts with a minibus that will restore funding.
We can do that. Yeah, we can. We certainly can.
It delivers millions of dollars in critical funding to states
we
like
can.
Nevada.
I mean, it's there. I can imagine a universe in which it happens. It's not like a four-sided triangle. There's no contradiction. So yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can also do a lot of stuff. We can pass Medicare for all. We can, address climate change. We can impeach Trump because we can do all that stuff.
All across the country. And you will hear blocks the administration from future rifts. We have an opportunity also to put Republicans on the record on the ACA. Are they committed to doing this? Are they committed?
Bro, they're on the record. They're on the record for the big, beautiful bill. They're on the record. Like, they are scum. They are scum. They are doing, like, the most depraved votes, the most depraved shit. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. Do they really want to vote against? Yeah, they want to destroy Obamacare. Yes, they do. How do you not understand the character of your political enemy?
Leader Thune said he would come to the table on health care once the government was open, and now he must follow through. If Republicans want to join us in lowering costs for working families, they have the perfect opportunity to show.
Yes, Trump has the perfect opportunity. Trump and the Republicans have the perfect opportunity to help the American people and deliver affordable health care for the poorest and the middle class. They do have that perfect opportunity. Wow. Really? Holy shit. They're going to put memes of this and do little clips of this because this was such a compelling case. They're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. They're literally laughing. All these MAGA Republicans are laughing at the Democrats right now. You're a joke.
The American public. I expect Republicans to be at the table in the next few weeks. I expect
them. And if they're not, we'll tell the American people and they'll know because we'll do speeches like we're giving right now.
White House to be at the table. And if they do choose not to come to the table, they can own the disastrous premium increases.
That's what they were doing when you were fighting for it. Then we're no better off. Oh my God. Except now we actually don't have an opportunity because they were owning the premium hike and they were owning the shutdown. Primary. Every single one of these people
will continue to rise.
And I understand they're like, they're not in 2028. I don't care. In the new election cycle, you need to get rid of these people. I said that about the March CR. Doubly, triply true about this one. Not because it's like the hot new thing right now. It's in the long term. Your judgment is called into question. I don't trust your judgment. So even if, let this be bygones be bygones. Maybe I could do that, right? I could do that. But I don't trust your judgment. This is called into question your judgment.
Fact that Americans across this country are going to lose access to health care. We were elected in the Senate to work on real solutions that help working families.
Real solutions.
It's our responsibility to work not only here amongst ourselves, but across the aisle.
And if they don't,
problems for the Americans,
we'll be so mad.
A little bit easier. And that's what we have done tonight.
No, you're a coward. And what you did was you bent the knee. And look at this loser who, obviously I wish he became vice president in 2017 because we wouldn't have the current situation. But part of me is like, you know what, Tim Kaine, what good are you? You're a U.S. senator from the state in which there was a landslide Democratic victory, historic, decades-long wait to have this kind of majority. You kicked the Republicans out of the governor's mansion. You won an election when you had an unhinged person who sent, well, at least his texts were unhinged, that he wanted to fucking kill Republicans, because that's how angry Virginia, the Commonwealth, was against Republicans. And you're going to come in on the heels of those historic victories, led by your Democratic supporters who trusted you, who championed you going into this negotiation and this fight. You're going to be like, sorry, guys. Oopsies. With your little fucking cocky smile.
So, hey, everybody, I'm the cleanup hitter because I joined this group I joined it 48 hours ago. Not
God.
for lack of interest. And I got to applaud Gene Shaheen and this group because they have been having open meetings that anybody could participate in on negotiation. But I had my hands full focused on the Virginia elections until Wednesday morning. And as soon as that was over, I have now engaged with a particular purpose in mind. I knew the Democratic appropriators led by Patty Murray were going to do the very best job they could to get these 3 approach bills queued up and moving forward. A bill, for example, that has very robust SNAP funding, very robust funding for the VA. I had confidence in that. And I had confidence in these guys that they were going to get the best possible deal they could get from Republicans on the ACA. We were in a situation where SNAP recipients were suffering, and there was no guarantee we would ever get to an ACA solution. Now we've got robust SNAP funding and a guaranteed vote. Not a guaranteed outcome, but a guaranteed vote on ACA tax credits. But I engaged on the issue that I've been talking about.
It's dead on arrival. It's dead on arrival.
For a month on the floor to Senator Thune, Katie Britt, Lindsey Graham, James Langford, anybody who would listen to me on the Republican side, I've said what I need in Virginia, with 320,000 federal employees who live in households that probably encompass nearly 650 or 700,000 residents in my state, I need a moratorium on mischief. My Virginians have been suffering under this administration. The shutdown started on January 20. I need a moratorium on the punishing of the federal workforce. That's what I need. And so I joined this group.
You're right, Kane. It started on January 20th. And we were trying to maximize, the Democratic caucus was trying to maximize our long-term efforts at resistance, not the short term. And it was working. And you just blew it up.
To make sure that we could get important protections.
Yeah,
for federal
this was
and what we have
to quote our current Oval Office occupant, that was a horrible deal, perhaps the worst deal of all. I mean, imagine, it's like, we worked and got the best deal we possibly could. What'd you get? We got a promise, a strongly worded promise, that in one chamber, now I know we need 2 chambers and the unhinged Republican president to sign off, but on one chamber, we didn't get actual Republican votes. We'll get a vote. Oh wait, but we don't control the Senate. We don't control this. Oh, holy shit. Thank you. Democrats could solve America's hunger problem just by feeding everyone the amount of L's they're farming. Yeah, fucking true. Based donation. Thank you so much for the 200 NOKs.
In this bill is the restoration of all the furloughed employees and a guarantee of their back pay, the restoration of all RIFT employees who got RIFT after October 1 with all of their back pay, and again.
Yeah, they're required to give back pay anyway. Did you not think that this could be a possibility of a shutdown fight? If you didn't think that, like, why did you do it in the first place?
Guarantee of no RIFs.
Losers.
No RIFs going forward. 2 million federal workers, not just
this is why you're a cuck who lost the 2016 election. Grow some fucking balls.
2 million federal workers who are not uniform military now have a guarantee of no RIFs going forward. So they don't have to go into the holiday season with anxiety about what's going to show up on their email one morning at 5:30 a.m. That's a big win for 2 million federal employees, and added together with these other ingredients of robust appropriations bills and a guaranteed path forward to vote on fixing the ACA, that made me sign on and say, yes, we can do it. I had a number of Republicans on the floor tonight that said, we were amazed that you got that no RIF guarantee in there. And I'm glad that we did, and we all worked so hard on it together, and I have huge respect for my colleagues who made this happen. Thanks.
The Republicans, this is like the car deal. Oh, I can't believe you brought me down to 50,000 for this fucking piece of shit car. I didn't think I was going to go down there, but you got me. Really great deal. I had some people, I had the car dealer tell me, I had a really good deal. And to bring it, to get that fucking 0 APR for a year? Jesus Christ.
Senator, you say you're fighting on the Affordable Care Act. What do you say to your colleagues who say this isn't a fight, this is a capitulation? You're putting together, you're agreeing to a vote on a bill that it almost certainly will not be.
Yeah, so as you guys know, the no riff pinky promise, it's like, yeah, like we were so surprised that you protected all of these workers in the executive branch from being fucking fired. You passed that law that will definitely be respected by the administration and by the courts, who are pretty much signing off to, you can fire everyone except for the Federal Reserve Board members. That will definitely be something that matters. You wrote a law to prevent Trump from fucking up the executive bureaucracies and firing people. You really did it. And they told you, I don't think you were going to get it in there. It's like, by the way, another thing is like, have you ever talked to people who like, this is maybe more for like influencers or creators or people who like, maybe in the business world, who they always like play up their relationships with someone who's like bigger, or like, yeah, oh yeah, I'll talk to Emma Watson. I know Emma, she'll look at your project, right? And they just like talk, like these people in the Senate can't speak for Trump. They can't negotiate on his behalf. They don't have the thing to offer it to you. So you're dealing with someone who doesn't have any actual authority, or even apparent authority, or any even plausible authority to bind the executive to do anything they want. The people you need to negotiate and have on board are the White House, and you can't hold the White House to their promises. There needs to be action. It can't be like, oh, the White House promised this. It needs to be some action, some tangible action that you do before you sign off, right? The acceptance is first, right? Like, give me the drugs and then I'll give you the money. But I'm going to get the drugs first. Like, you need to hand over the thing first. You can't just be like, yes, here's the money, sir, and now I get my thing.
Law, and you're allowing that to happen.
Well, first of all, as long as the government shut down, the clear statement from Senator Thune and
this is at 1.5 speed. The clear statement from Senator Thune. These people don't know what day of the week it is, except the leader of them, who probably knew it was Sunday to sneak it under the American people, right? These people don't know. They don't have a clue what month it is. They don't understand what planet we live on. But the clear thing that was said by Thune is that do you think we don't fucking know that you had some nice words and a nicely written fucking promise?
the clear statement from Senator Thune and the Republican majority, and they control the Senate, the House, the White House, was we will not talk about health care with you. So there was no vote that we were going to get on the Affordable
Oh, so we weren't going to get a meaningless vote, but now we are going to get a meaningless vote.
Care Act, premium tax credits. We have a guaranteed vote by a guaranteed date on a bill that we will write. Not that the Republicans will write, although I do think it's important for us to engage with them because we need a bipartisan bill that we know is going to get enacted to provide the relief that Americans need. And I think there's a commitment on the part of many of our colleagues to do that.
But there's no guarantee this will become law.
There was never a guarantee that it would become law.
Well, just to follow up on that, Senator, because
who could be excited by these fucking cucks? Who could want these as leaders? Who could look at this and say, this is responsible stewardship? Who could say, this is the Democratic Senate that we're excited to vote in wide sweeping majorities in 2026? Who could look at this without shame as a Democrat? Even just we were never going to get it. They think so small. They think so small. You know what Trump does? Trump says prices are going down. They are, and keep saying it. Because say what you want about Trump, he thinks big. He fucking puts his eye on an ambition. Yeah, I'm going to be fucking president twice. I'm going to win election. I'm going to do this, and that. And he's a liar. He's a bullshitter, whatever. At least he doesn't think small. Jesus Christ. We were never going to win yet.
you know, we understand that this vote will happen, but, you know, a vote on extending the tax credits, it does not guarantee that it's going to happen. So how do you explain, though, to your constituents why it was worth it to put up this fight for so long when in the end you did not get your key demand?
Because it wasn't working.
Oh my, because we suck, and because everything, we're just horrible. We did this fight because we thought it would be easy, and it wasn't working. So you have no balls. So practically, like in terms of negotiating, like you'll never get anything because they know that you have no balls. It wasn't working. We did it for 4 weeks and we get it. These losers.
How long would it take to not get a response to say it isn't working? In other words, it's been 6 weeks. There's been the Republicans made it clear they weren't going to discuss the healthcare issue.
These are the fighters. Who's excited by this? Who wants this? We don't need this. We can actually be better than this. You guys ever play God of War? We must be better. Boy. We actually don't need to be so fucking cucked.
Affordable Care Act tax credits until the shutdown was over. We tried to keep working that for 6 weeks. It didn't happen. The vote that we have is not a guarantee for sure. It's more of a guarantee.
It's a meaningless gesture that is dead on arrival. You know what I think is going to happen? There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that the Mike Johnson and Donald Trump administration will pass a Democrat bill. Do you think there's no guarantee, or do you think it's fucking dead on arrival, dude?
Put it. As I assessed it, there was zero chance of dealing with the ACA issue as long as the shutdown continued. Now, I don't know, 50-50? But there's a lot better chance now than
look, he doesn't even believe it. He doesn't even believe it. He can't even say it. Why are you lying? 50-50. He can't even say it.
Here's the way I would put it. As I assessed it, there was zero chance of dealing with the ACA issue as long as
at this point, you just have to laugh.
Now, I don't know, 50-50? But there's a lot better chance now than there was this morning because nothing was happening and there was no evidence that another week or another 2 weeks or Thanksgiving or Christmas was suddenly the Republicans were going to come to us and say, oh, we want to now talk.
When Trump's approval rating is at -30, consistent -30, -35, they'll talk. You just a cuck.
Talk about the ACA. If they weren't going to do it by now, what's going to change in the next 2 weeks? It's going to make
his support, you asshole. His public support, you fucking idiot.
them do it. And that was really the assessment. Again, I would say, right, as of this morning, there was a zero chance of having a work on the ACA. Now there's a measurable chance. Will it be everything that everybody wanted? No, because we need 60 votes. And so there's going to be a negotiation. But Republicans have already started saying, well, here, if you did this or did that, maybe we can get there. So I would take a reasonable chance against no chance every day. And that's.
Oh my God.
And the other piece is, and we didn't really emphasize this, there are 3 important appropriations bills in this that would lock in SNAP for the rest of the year.
Like, that was on the table? Getting rid of SNAP was on the table. So we're locking. Look at how we've negotiated against ourselves. Right? So in the course of this shutdown, Trump uses SNAP as a leverage issue and illegally withholds funds. And you know what independent/Democrat Angus King says in his Cope speech afterwards? This locks in SNAP. What, like it was a fucking question? Like they were, do you understand? So they made SNAP an issue. They illegally withheld SNAP funds. And, oh, now we've locked in SNAP. It actually is, you got to hand it to you got to hand it to the Republicans and Trump. I mean, this must be so fucking delicious to watch. What a fucking palate cleanser after the election. We locked it in, guys. We locked in SNAP. I can't believe he just said that.
There are 3 important appropriations bills in this that would lock in SNAP for the rest of the year at a very substantial rate.
I didn't know that was on the table. I didn't know that was on the fucking table. But we've locked it in.
Other benefits, veterans funding is guaranteed if we get these 3 bills through. So there's a plus on that. And I think the odds are that we have a better chance of doing something.
People are so aroused. And you know what? Angus King, you take the credit because I didn't know how much of a cuck you were. I knew that you were kind of a cuck. I knew that you were full of shit on a lot of stuff, especially when you voted to. This guy, by the way, who's trying to sell you on this, he voted to keep the government open with no deal, with no promise. Right? So this guy who's selling you on how amazing this deal is, He was willing to hand it out without the promise. You know what the promise is worth to him? Fucking bubkiss. 0. Right? He was willing to vote without it.
Not going into this. At some point, you have to decide. What
I know Johnson is just gonna like keep Congress closed forever for like the Epstein stuff, or he'll be like, "Hey, Democrats, promise not to do the Epstein vote," and then I'll bring it back like, "Okay, well, we tried the Epstein thing for so long, and so I guess we have to now vote to never release the Epstein files and to delete them all."
What is the best strategic step forward? And we believe that the evidence is that what we were doing wasn't working, and therefore, let's try something else.
And the real question is, why would a president of the United
I'm so proud of how responsible our Democrats are. Democrats, these are our leaders.
States pit hungry children against sick children? And that is what President Trump has done. I mean, this is outrageous.
And we bailed him out. It was outrageous, and we bailed him out.
We can't reach agreement on government funding, so the government shuts down. And even though the law is clear that he could fund SNAP benefits during the shutdown, he did not. And then he also said, and by the way, I don't really care if people's health insurance premiums get so high they can't afford their care. That's on Donald Trump. My vote today was to do two things, both equally morally important and imperative. One is to make sure that the government is functioning so that our kids eat, so that our elderly citizens eat, so that our air traffic controllers can get some sleep and earn money, get paid while they are working, so that our veterans are protected, and continue the fight to a realistic platform to get the premium tax cuts done. And if that is not successful, then shame on the Republican Party and shame on Donald Trump.
And if it's not successful, then shame on you. My girl, Maggie, take a second. I need to talk to you, Maggie. Come over here. They voted for the big, beautiful bill. They cut hundreds of billions of dollars in Medicaid. Shame on them isn't anything. They are shameless. They are shameless. They only understand two things: power and the prospects of losing their power. And money. 3 things. That's what they care about. They don't speak the language of shame. You want to convince them? Do more of what happened in 2025 in this election. And that means dragging Trump's approval rating to the low 30s. And that was what was happening. Starting to make these Republican seats viable in plus 12 Republican states. Jesus. You think that they care about shame? They haven't watched the same movie as you and I, right? We're almost in 2026. We're almost in 2026, and we're still trusting that the Republicans are in good faith. How many things have to happen? How many times do they have to fuck us over? I'm almost done, by the way. I have to go soon.
The American people will see who stands with them on healthcare and who does not. And that will be the platform of the next stage of the fight. I hope we can find bipartisan agreement on an extension of those premium tax credits in New Hampshire.
I hope we can get a grand bargain on healthcare.
Couples who are 60 years old or so, earning $85,000 a year, are seeing like a $15,000 increase in their insurance premiums. This has to get fixed. And we have about a month to do it before the harm gets to be irreparable. And again, if the Republicans can't come to the table and do something reasonable on this, and make sure that
they
people
will
can
own
afford
it.
their health care,
They're
and the
gonna,
whole private commercial market
they're going to
also
own it.
doesn't see skyrocketing increases, then shame on them.
What do you say to the millions of Americans who are already in the Obamacare exchanges, seeing premiums skyrocketed, who were hoping because of what you all said that they would get answers on what their premiums would be now, but have to wait weeks longer since you've decided to open the government without immediate action on the subsidies?
Well, as Senator Hassan said so well, the Republicans weren't providing any commitment or even a willingness to vote or a willingness to discuss extending the premium tax credits. We have the opportunity to do that now, and we will hold their feet to the fire.
And just quick.
Hold their feet to the fire with your TikToks that no one watches, with your YouTube account that no one watches, with your Riz that you don't have, with your ability to articulate things in a succinct manner, which is not among the people who actually voted for this, where all of the base Democrats who are actually reaching out and being successful and having good optics are against it.
Most of us up here in the group of 8 that voted for this tonight have voted repeatedly with the Democratic strategy of we're not opening.
Not Angus King. Not Angus King. Not Cortez Masto. not Fetterman in his fucking shorts.
We want you to take action on the ACA tax credit, but after 40 days.
And I have to say, metaphorically, electorally speaking, Fetterman is a dead man walking. We need to primary that guy. Every single one of these, obviously, but Fetterman, number one. What a loser.
It wasn't going to work. So here we are in a situation, and this was the reality. SNAP recipients suffering, nothing happening on ACA. The vote tonight will be full, and not just last year's, but full and robust SNAP funding for SNAP recipients and a path on the ACA. So from suffering and no path, we've now got robust benefits and a path. And that's what we tell our constituents.
Senator, I think if I could just ask
Robust benefits and a path is locking in SNAP. You didn't know that SNAP was, in question in these negotiations, but now we've locked it in, and so that's the robustness. And they have these talk. It's so obvious. You keep saying robust. It's so curated. It's so artificial. It's so fake.
Calls now from Democrats in the House that are saying Leader Schumer should step aside. He should be replaced. The 8 of you today voting with Republicans to advance this plan to reopen the government. Does that just further the divides within the Democratic Party right now?
No. When I talk to my constituents in New Hampshire, you know what they say to me? They say, why can't you all just work together to address the problems that are facing this country? We put the Senate back on a path.
Oh, and now you're indignant. That's going to really warm you up to everyone who has no confidence. It's like Chancellor Valorum and Phantom of the Opera. I propose a no confidence vote on these 8 people and on Schumer himself. I don't care that Schumer voted no. I'm going to say that 3 more times. I don't care that Schumer voted no. I don't care that Schumer voted no. I don't care that Schumer voted no. No confidence.
Start doing that today, and we're going to continue to work that way.
All right, one last question.
If the president doesn't agree and Republicans block the extension of AC subsidies, would you guys be willing to vote again against government funding in January? Was funding?
Yeah, obviously that's the next question. No, because you're cucks, right? If it didn't work in March, why would it work now, and why would it work in February or January? It's going to be the same shit. You've killed our negotiation leverage.
That's certainly an option that I think everybody will consider. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody. Senator King. Thanks.
Geriatric losers, every single one of them. Get them out of Congress. I'm done. We'll be back tomorrow. I mean, this is just, it's pissed me off. We need to speak out against this, man. We need to speak out against this. And I'm going to be, oh wait, quick Hutch. Let's take a look at Hutch's Twitter. I promise we do that, right? One sec. We'll do a Hutch Twitter review. And I am fair and balanced. Never forget this. Never forget this. We got to check out Hutch's Twitter, Morty. A lot of good stuff. We got to make sure he's saying the right things. All right, let's take a look. Once again, after chatters, instead of your friends half-cucked tweets, the argument is sure this is bad, but what do you want, Democrat? I don't know what you mean by that. All right, Hutch's first is, all right, decent reaction. Responding to Ryan Mullally? I don't think so. Didn't get enough for your leverage. The left is furious. This is like something I don't like, and I love how it touched my boy, where it's always like referring to third parties. Like, I don't think that, I'm sorry, I'm doing the impression because it helps me like think about what he would say. I don't think that is strategic for Manchin to do that. Or like, why would Schumer do that? As though like, rather than speak about the norms as he sees them, sometimes I find it frustrating when people do that. We'll externalize it to speaking about groups and their incentive structures. Like, it doesn't really make sense for Israel to do that, right? It doesn't make sense for Israel to come to negotiation on this or that. Or it doesn't make sense for Hamas to give this up, right? Like, we're asking about norms, right? You know what I'm talking about? He's my boy. But then he does say, this hurts people. To be honest, this probably benefits Dems. Again, in terms of like external parties although he does put, I'd rather get tax credit extensions. Maybe there he's talking about like his personal incentives are not aligned necessarily with the positioning on, I actually don't know what he means with this. A tax credit extension. I'd rather get tax credit extensions. Well, he's basically suggesting that if Dems were purely pragmatically thinking, they would let this hurt Americans. and that he's not interested just in political outcomes. So I guess that's a decent response. I agree that Schumer caving is really bad. Good. We love this, Hutch. But the insane premium spikes are just going to disproportionately impact Trump voters. It's going to be painful for him. He can dance all he wants, but who does he think that voters will be blamed for this? Well, that's what I don't mean. Like, you say you agree it's really bad, but this will hurt voters. I don't understand the but, right? Like, you're suggesting that this is bad for Democrats, but that maybe it's not. To be clear, millions losing coverage and tens of millions of enormous premium spikes is objectively awful. I guess he's just saying he thinks that in the net it might be more of a wash. But again, I just think that then, like, why would you agree that it's bad, right? Like, if you're not sure whether or not this is going to be good for the Democrats long term or achieve the policy aims, why would you agree it's really bad? It just feels like this is a little empty if you're not as sure about the political ramifications and policy ramifications, you know? I feel like uncertainty on that front mitigates the potential for thinking it's going to be really bad, or at least coming to this determination. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Again, I love Hutch. We'll talk about it tomorrow, I'm sure. He's saying some of the right things. The gift here is 30 million people seeing dramatic increases to the premiums and losing coverage. I have no idea why anyone would think that doesn't hurt Trump with his own voters. I think it will, but like, that was the thing is that's true regardless of if you have a deal or no deal, right? Like, that dynamic of blaming Republicans for that is consistent. And so it can't be a basis to distinguish whether you should have had the deal or not, because that just is premised on them being unamenable to actually passing it, which they still are, right? Especially go by like the very tepid statements of optimism from the Democrats' defectors. You understand what I'm saying then? Like, this thing is consistent, right? The blame for the premiums potential is consistent with a deal, without a deal. And so it can't be a basis to distinguish the action here, right? And then obviously, yeah, Trump isn't running for election, or at least, whatever. Dems can do all the resistance they want. I'm inclined to think they should hold the line on this one. Again, that seems like kind of to mitigate it's really bad to cave if you are inclined. It seems like you're kind of more moderate about it. But Trump Republicans are 1,000% responsible for the tax credits expiring. I mean, I agree with that. That's true of the shutdown 2 situation. Okay, I'll bite. If Trump refuses to build an inch on the healthcare shutdown fight, and this is precisely where we are after 5 weeks, how do you propose them avert the looming crisis? They have the power to prevent this, according to you. So how? So again, then if you're unsure about the position of the Democrats, why do you think it's bad? But then retweeting Governor Newsom is good and Pritzker is good. I think 99% Democrats believe that Biden choosing to step down and pass the baton to a fresher face would have been the right thing to do. Schumer's by that time, good. I generally think he's been an effective Senate leader throughout the years. That's not the point. He's lost the confidence. That's what I've been saying. Appreciate that. Why acting like this is strength for Trump? Okay. So we're going to rate this 7 out of 10 response because of the comments on Schumer, the retweeting of the base people. But I'm not convinced that, as though he's like sort of positioning it, the contrast between Schumer's doing really bad, but think about all the consequences for Trump vis-a-vis the premiums. I think that those are baked in based on the opposition, not on the government shutdown aspect to it. And so I think that's consistent throughout. And then I'm just like, it seems like he's undermining a little bit the Schumer criticism by calling it a question and like doing the Green Lantern of politics and how could they have done anything, seems to like undermine his position that Schumer is really fucked up. It seems like it's more like Schumer has lost the confidence of the Democrats, and that's why he's fucked up, because he hasn't brought along the Democratic base. But like, that's been clear for months and doesn't really relate to the underlying position here, especially given that Schumer did, I'm not sure why he wouldn't just reiterate that Schumer voted against it. Now, I don't think that that's a saving grace here, but I am curious to talk to him and see what he says. I'm sure it'll be a very fun live and learn. But yeah, I rate this response a 7 out of 10, which is a passing grade for sure. It's not a D. It's just it's a C. All right, I gotta go. I love you guys very much. I really appreciate it. I'm pissing off enough to maybe we'll do a stream early tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys very much. No promises, but shit's coming down the pipe. And I got a video that I have been working on myself. It's an old debate with Rob Noir that I hope you like. But I've put in my sources that'll come up. It's a Burisma debate. I know you guys love the Burisma debates, but it's one that I I never had on my channel. It was hosted by Not So Erudite, and I just think it's good. You get to see he starts talking about the 1023 guy, FE 1023, the guy that Trump is going to let free, the Russian spy. And I've like inputted a clip of when he was like, these are all lies, and so it's just very funny seeing how him arguing the Russian propaganda before it was fully revealed, and then when I start like doing all my evidence-based arguments, I'm just popping up transcript highlights and stuff, and I'm really encouraged to do that so you can see in real time me being vindicated either by stuff that I knew at the time or developments that happened afterwards. So I think it'll be fun to watch. But thank you guys very much. Please follow the channel. It means the world to me. Like it, subscribe. These are fun. They're fun little pranks that you play on me whenever you do it. It's like a fun little joke, fun little way to fuck with me. But I love you guys very much. Thank you so much for the super chats and the support. You are the best, all of you. Keep fighting the cuckoldry of the Democratic Party and support base Democrats. Newsom, Pritzker, Chris Murphy, people actually calling it, Bernie Sanders calling it out, a lot of the House Democrats. And kudos to Hakeem Jeffries for not taking the cuck position. But I don't know if that's because he disagrees with it or because he knows that it's untenable. And if he knows it's untenable, what the fuck? If he knows it's untenable, everyone should know it's untenable for the Democratic